as you're reading the Bible, taking the genre of literature is really, really important. So the historical books, say Joshua, 1st and 2nd Kings, the Gospels, Acts, are all designed to be certain events that happened in space and time. And we take those as literal historical events because they're meant to talk about literal historical events. There are other places that I'd say obvious, like the Psalms, for example, that are using metaphor and they're not talking about things that are literal, so we wouldn't take it as literal. A book like Job is somewhere in the middle. It's a squishy genre that's largely poetry, but the first and the end is more like history. And so you go, okay, is that actually events that happened, or is that a story that's told to teach theological truth? You brought up Jonah in particular, and Jonah is a weird book of the Bible because the genre of literature is satire. And so most people, they learn about it as history when they're a little kid, but actually the genre of literature is satire. And there's a lot of scholars that say, man, I believe that this is a literal historical event that actually happened. But there's some really smart, godly, evangelical scholars that say, you know what, I think this is just a story that was told in order to make a point about loving people, but it's not intended to be history at all. And so you have to be serious about the literary genre. The Noah story, I really believe that, Noah's Ark, flood, 2x2, animals, all that kind of stuff. But people will disagree on, was it a worldwide flood or was it a localized flood? And I think there's room for Christians to disagree on some of those things. So because you brought up those two examples, I would say, yeah, I think there's some reason to disagree on that. What you believe about the authority of the Bible makes a huge difference in your faith. So I would never want to get to a place where we say we're undermining the authority of the Bible. But the ways you choose to interpret the Bible based on what type of literature it is, there's flexibility within the family of God. And I would say I'm willing to allow for that flexibility because there's people who are smarter and better scholars than me that disagree on those things and still love the Lord with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that just something to add to that maybe on in a broader way, genuinely, if someone said to me, I don't believe all the stories in the Bible are true, especially this one, my response would be, okay, that's really interesting. Tell me more about that. What is it that makes you say that? What is it that makes you think that? Because I think that making assumptions right from the beginning about why someone might think that or why someone might be saying that can be harmful, because I think it can lead you to misunderstand the person that you're talking to, versus there might be some really cool opportunities to bring someone into deeper faith if you understand what their sticking points are or what their hard parts. For example, like with the story of Noah, someone might say, oh, well, there's a lot of different traditions that have a worldwide flood type story in their history, in the legends that they tell, whatever. And there's one side of that where you could say, oh, well, yeah, that means that this probably was just a legend or it didn't happen or whatever. But there's another side that you could be like, well, wouldn't you expect that that's exactly what would be the case if that really did happen? That all of these different people would agree that something crazy like this actually did happen. And, we just have a little bit more of this story because we believe that we've been given by God an idea of what actually happened there and whatever. So by understanding what the sticking points actually are for people and having that kind of curiosity is a great way to be able to engage with questions like that too.
It's great.